January 20th, 2020 Fair Housing Board meeting to order. Call the roll.
Caitlin Hartman. Here. John Hodge.
Here.
Matt McKinney.
Here.
Brian Miller.
Here.
Logan Welch.
Here. Call for a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approval of agenda. Item on the agenda is a motion on minutes of January 21st of 2019. Call for a motion. So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 2, motion to elect chairperson and vice chairperson, the current mayor pro tem normally. Call for a motion to, if that would like.
Second. Remain as is.
And the city clerk is, oh no, that's the next one. Okay. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 3 is a motion on a by the person of the investigating committee and such other officers as the board may decide as provided by Code of Ordinances of Webster City, Iowa, 2019, Chapter 28, Article 2, Section 28-27. It's the current city manager, the city clerk, and planning director.
So moved.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approves. Are there any other matters to come before the board? Got any fair housing? Haven't had any in the past. But... Okay, call for a motion to adjourn. Well, fair housing board. Okay.
Thank you.
Brian and second.
Okay.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Back to regular city council meeting. So we'll proceed with the regular city meeting and we'll call for the January 2020 city council meeting. Call of the roll again. successful. On the minutes, sixth resolution on payroll for the period ending January 4th, 2020 and paid on January 10th, 2020. The resolution on bills and the fund list.
Before you make a motion, I'm making a change to the minutes, and the meeting was called to order on the 6th. It was brought to my attention it wasn't 6 o'clock, but a few minutes past 6, so I'm changing it to 6:04 p.m. So that'll be reflected in the minutes before you approve.
Motion to approve effectively
Second?
with that change.
All those in favour, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Next section is C. 605. Okay. Public hearing on proposal to enter into a general obligation corporate purpose loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder in a principal amount not to exceed $9,000. I will open the hearing. Are there any written objections?
Received no written objections.
Are there any oral objections?
No oral objections presented.
I will close the hearing. Jeff, did you want to?
I'd like to recommend to the council that you take the resolution, table the resolution to receive some additional information. Probably in one meeting, possibly.
So with that said, the hearing will be done, but just the voting on the resolution only.
That's my understanding, correct?
To table it is nice and hear out that additional.
I'll second.
I like to put in there though, before we vote, I'm okay moving it as long as there's still ample time for opinion at that vote, you know? Like, because technically this is the hearing, and if there's more information to come, I want people to opportunity to voice their opinion after that information. But I'm perfectly fine tabling it.
Do you want to just, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 2 is a recommended issuance and beer and liquor licences by the Iowa Department of Commerce for the following. We have A, renewal of a Class E liquor licence, Class B native wine permit, Class B wine permit, Class C beer permit, and Sunday sales for Casey's General Store at 700 Superior Street. B is renewal of a Class C beer permit, Class B wine permit, and Sunday sales for Dollar General Store number 2421 at 814 Superior Street. C is a renewal of a Class B beer permit, outdoor service and Sunday sales for Hamilton County Fairgrounds at 1200 Bluff Street. And D is a renewal of a Class C beer permit and Sunday sales for Dock Stop number 9 at 407 Close Drive.
I move to approve A, B, C, and D collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Item 3 on the agenda is a resolution term development agreement and assessing agreement with Verit SH Webster City LLC. Do you want to sign it on this one or the next few? Has anybody got questions for Carl?
No questions, no comments?
You could probably address
Well, we're just
one, or 3, 4, and 5 together, you could probably, they're all
we could all talk. Yeah, it's the
the
same.
same thing.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
terminating one and adding 2 new ones.
The existing minimum assessment agreement and the development agreement with Verit. Were in breach of the development agreement when they closed a year ago and did not put a retail or commercial entity into that building.
This is the shop. Yeah.
The Shopko building,
Yeah.
yes. So we have to get them off the books so we can talk new development. So that's what this is, to terminate it.
And they know,
Pardon me?
they know, they're aware of it.
Yeah.
It's nothing that they're.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
They're not
Yes.
opposed to it.
yes.
Okay, so all those, well, call for a motion to terminate that agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Same sign. Motion approved. Item 4 is a motion on TIF tax increment financing request for First State Bank and Gary and Glenda Fox.
Okay, these next two items are simply to let you know what has been discussed and to your consensus before I proceed with our bonding attorney to drop the paperwork. The Fox one, was that what you said?
The First State Bank.
Okay, First State Bank, they, as you know, have put on a huge addition to the west side of their building. And they are requesting TIF rebates like they have in the past with when they did Town and Country. And they want approximately $27,000 a year rebate the next 10 years. And they're going to be given a 50% rebate according to the policy that we adopted in 2015 when Ed Sattler was here. They were given an option to raise it, and chose just to go to 50%. They are aware that levies change, as are the Foxes. Levies change every year, and assessments change, so this is just an approximate. It's not the actual of what's going to happen, because assessments go down, levies go up, it changes. But nonetheless, it would be no more, not to exceed this $27,963 a year for 10 years at 50%. That's what they're requesting. Then the Foxes are the ones that have taken over the Shopko building, and they came to us right away because the minimum assessment agreement was way more than what they had purchased the building for, or what the offer they were gonna make on the building. And they said, there's no way we can, buy the building with that assessment on that building. So after having it appraised and having the assessor to go back and reassess it on market value, dropped it considerably because he only paid $50 for the building, and it was, the assessment was $2.65. Big difference. And he said, there's no way I can afford it at that. So he was asking at that time if he could continue the plan that Verit had in place with the city. And it was before the 2015 policy that we had adopted with Ed, that Verit came on board. So for the 9 years left that Verit had, at 70%, not to exceed 20,000 a year. So that's considerably less. But I want to remind you also that both of these deals have to do with them paying tax before we rebate. It's not pulling any the TIF from any other or project at urban renewal. Don't pay the taxes, they don't get a rebate. That's what it ends up. And it's only the percentage that I have told you about. So I need a consensus from the council, if everybody understands that, to proceed to get the urban renewal plan amended and to go ahead with the development agreements.
Thanks, Carl. Contract and estimate of costs for construction of the 2020 street.
To receive bid. I remember needs. I kind of got to pause and kind of think, what's the outcome if we didn't do this, you know? And again, this could be something we discuss at the hearing, and we're just setting the date, or sorry, when we discuss bids. But again, the more I look at this, the more I think of how much we're spending. I mean, not even what we tabled today earlier, what we're going to be talking about in a work session, you know, and then we still continually can't keep up on our infrastructure. So it's kind of one of those need to have, want to have things, just to keep it back in mind.
Motion.
A second.
Aye.
Aye.
Same. Item
the agreement was tabled at the last meeting. I don't believe there's been any additional communication. I just need some direction from the council if you wish to move forward.
Well, the intent, as we discussed with this property, would no longer be a necessity. And from my perspective, I guess my recommendation would be not to move forward. Unless there's other uses that we're not aware of that you want to discuss tonight.
I'm not aware of any other uses. I think the idea was it could be used for some park and recreation at some point in the future, but I understand it's really whatever the council wishes.
Two-part question. First is, like, what was the last communication from the church? Like, obviously they want to sell it, it's been for
Last
sale.
communication was an approved purchase agreement.
Okay, so they haven't, like, reached out, kind of see where we're at on that or anything, or?
I've had some conversations with, it's not a board, what's it called?
Trustees?
Trustees, and they're understanding why we wouldn't proceed accordingly, so.
And the second part of that question is, you know, the outcome of 2 weeks ago obviously sets us down a path I'd hope we'd honor to somewhat rejuvenize or maintain or look into East Twin Park. So and again, we're splitting pennies on all these things. We got a bunch of big things going on. I would hope that if we didn't move forward with this purchase, we would allocate those funds to what we're going to use them for anyway, which was park. So with that said, yeah, I think we should just walk away from this lane deal.
I guess I would say the funds we were gonna purchase this spot with, in a different mindset, so.
They were not allocated
I definitely don't
resources.
wanna, I don't wanna proceed with purchasing it, so.
Okay.
So what kind of motion do you need to reject the proposal?
Well, you're gonna have a resolution authorizing and approving, so if you,
We'd vote down.
You voted
Vote
You
down.
can either put it up as a motion, that motion, and then vote it down, or just not make a motion and it dies for lack of.
Yeah. Let's just let it die.
But the council's, I appreciate the council clarifying their wishes.
I will say this, if a situation comes back like this, I was under the assumption somebody was communicating to the trustees and nobody did, that we had tabled this, they heard this like everyone else heard it, so,
Okay,
they just
I-
would have appreciated some contact and some input, so.
okay. I wasn't aware of that, but certainly.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 10, resolution accepting and approving acquisition of property generally located at 313 Broadway Street, City of Webster City, Hamilton County, Iowa. Zach, one of yours.
Yeah, this is the last one of the whole pile of them that I went through. City, 313 Broadway, this went up for a hearing, or a court case last week, and nobody objected to it. So we, again, as we do in the past, we now own it, and you guys now have to accept it. And then we'll hopefully get started on another.
Does it come with a car? I mean, there was a car in the driveway at one stage, wasn't there?
But whatever's
Anyone need a
there,
new vehicle?
you acquire whatever's there, so you're lucky, so.
Yeah.
This was the one that had the,
Next to Broad John Street.
okay, yeah, the one, yep, okay.
Yeah.
I know.
So I think we're getting ahead of a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones we have issues now, they're getting tore down, which is good. Did they get the ones that, they've been tore down yet? I know the one on.
No, I don't think.
The one that you should be is tore down,
Ellen
right,
hasn't been, Clark hasn't been.
right.
Or
Those three are under contract right now,
Third, Clark, Allen.
yes.
Yeah. The basement on this one's no good either, isn't it? I think
Right.
they said it's, yep. It's,
That's why wanna stand here is, what I'd like to do is with the council's consensus, is to talk with that contractor that's gonna demo the other three houses and see if he'll give us a bid on this house to include it and include it as a change order.
yeah.
So that we get this taken care of. This lot would obviously be a good candidate for the house at 1236 Second Street.
I do have a question about 1236 Second Street, since it's brought up. How will we open that to the public for bidding? What
It
time
is,
frames?
It's in the process right now. The bids were sent out, or the RFP was sent out, and so there are basically two options. To move the house away from a lot in Webster City, give us a bid for that, or give us a bid to move the house and move it on a lot in Webster City.
So if there's a citizen that wants to purchase that and move it, now's the time to speak up.
Yeah.
Yes, and those people have contacted us, and what we did is everyone that contacted us, we gave them a bidder's list, or, excuse me, not a bidder's list, it would be a plan holders list. So the mover would know that this individual is interested in that house. And so that arrangement is then at their option.
Because I've had some people contact me about being interested in that. I want to make sure they.
Then, yeah,
Reach out.
you need
Make
to,
sure to contact them
reach
as
out.
soon
you
as-
need to contact me and so we can get them on that.
All right, I'll talk to you after this.
Okay. That's all I had on that.
So we need a motion to accept this 313 Broadway Street.
So moved.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 12, we can pass over 11. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We're giving Ken also consensus to
Oh, we give, yes. we'll
check
see.
with the contractor.
Proceed, yeah.
How many in the last year have we taken?
6 or 7?
Yeah, 940 3rd Street, Clark Street, Elm Street, this one,
Well, he's got 4 right now, we did the one in Dubuque.
View, there was another one.
Maybe,
And then we got the ones where we tried to rehab them,
Yeah.
there's a few of those,
There's
there's 3 or
still
4,
3
so
of
probably,
those.
8 maybe.
what, and so, let's just say our average per year in the last 3 or 4 years, maybe 4 to 5 or 6, right? And again, this is just naiveness. What were we doing 5 or 6 years ago, like taking ownership of homes, knocking them down? Do you kind of have any numbers?
I can answer that question, none.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So again, I wasn't a council guy.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we were just talking, Daily Freeman Journal and myself, we're having a little press conference, before, but about progress, right? That's something that I think really needs to be relayed. There's a lot of people in the community that just aren't well aware of the push we put behind this to get nuisance properties, obtain them, knock them down, have info lots, have options. So again, that's just, I think we do a poor job as a city of just kind of tooting our own horn on that, because I hear that comment all the time in discussions, is, oh, there's so many nuisance properties. I'm like, well, there'd be a lot more if we didn't put this push behind it. So I commend you and I commend you for the efforts, and
I know 2014 was the first year we started taking them, and it was the house on 2nd Street and the house on Elm Street. And
And then
the plan was,
the gridiron,
yeah, that was later on though, but the idea was to do 2, they wanted to do 2 a year. Right?
That's right.
You're never gonna get caught up.
that's right, yeah.
Because we had a list of, at that time, we had 10 or 15 on the list, and we're like, you're adding more every day than you are getting rid of them. So then we started pushing it out. We've done John Street, 2nd Street, everywhere.
Because this doesn't this only does the worst of them, though. There's ones that we can't touch
Well,
through this system.
abandonment, right?
It only gets the ones people aren't living in.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, though, is the public also isn't aware that there's a lot of programs we try to create and a lot of grants and help. We try to give houses that are kind of on the cusp, or people are about ready to walk away from because they're dilapidated. So
Yeah.
again, I just
We've got LMI money there for those that qualify that, and LMI is fairly high. The qualification's fairly high at the moment, isn't it, Carla? So it's a lot easier to get that money than it was. So it's definitely worth reaching out to the city hall if you think you've got a problem and you can't really afford it. Then we've probably got help for you. Number 11.
Can't skip it.
And we're going to get that done.
He's a
Resolution authorising is this because, is it while you were talking something? Resolution authorising the mayor and city clerk to enter into a city attorney compensation agreement for legal services.
I'll move to approve.
second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We have Zach for another 3 years.
Yep, stuck with me.
Thank you, Zach. Item 12 is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the 2018-19 electrical underground conversion project with Primaris Avenia Incorporated of Johnston, Iowa. So this is because everybody suddenly figured out they wanted to get their lines hooked up, eh?
That's basically it in a nutshell. I'll answer any questions anybody has. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. They finally, it's a free service if they do it now. So they were a little slow on catching on.
Or to take it, you mean from the house to the,
Right, from the house to the.
To the underground conversion.
Yeah. And that's our goal. Our goal is to eliminate those poles and structure, all those structures in the rear yards. So.
They all got fibre to their house now?
What?
Did they all get fibre too?
No.
Jeez.
So what's the long-term, you know, those that don't take advantage now, at what point do we cut off the overhead option and they don't have any choice?
They will feed a pole and they'll get their overhead drop from that pole. And we probably can't, you know, unless we really push it, but that pole will probably be there, and then if there's a windstorm or something, then or an ice storm or whatever, and their service falls down, you know, we'll get to it, you know, but their neighbors probably will have power and they won't for that period of time.
If I'm not mistaken, if you can prove that the cost of maintenance are higher, you're gonna charge those customers more. But if they're still on a pole as opposed to underground. As long as you can prove that it costs us more money to maintain it, you can charge a different rate.
Yeah,
Are a lot of people fighting it? Or
I
are
don't,
I think
no,
most people just
No, I
ignoring
think
it.
that's
Yeah,
what.
just
They-
not
they
aware
just-
of it, that's
they
what
just
they
weren't-
want, and
they
think
weren't
they
paying
wanna take
attention.
advantage of it now,
yeah.
while it doesn't cost.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's a no-brainer, but, yeah. Okay,
I'll move to approve.
second,
all those in favour say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 13 is a resolution authorising the mayor and city clerk to enter an agreement with Rob's Tree and Stump Service of Story City, Iowa, providing for 2020 tree stump removal services.
So I think it goes, I think we should mention the question that got brought up about what fund it comes out of,
Sure.
just to be clear.
To
It's
clear,
park and recreation
And public
and
grounds.
public grounds.
right. This is the same fund that's funded it for 20 years. And it's certainly perfectly appropriate as a part of the public grounds function of that department.
And I think it's worth mentioning as well that this has been a planned expenditure that's budgeted for every year and not money that's being diverted from other park and rec projects.
The other thing that I think is worth mentioning, the tree that, that created that stump is being taken down, and, that's not paid by the Parks and Rec
Or public grounds.
or public grounds.
Okay, anyone else have any
I
questions?
just have a question
Mhm.
about why we're not using local people.
We bid it out.
We bid it
Bid
out,
it out.
and no one local bids the tree grinding. I don't think we've ever had anyone local.
Jim's,
bid the tree grinding.
wasn't it?
Jim's.
But again, we have, I think, I asked the same question, correct me wrong, but is there like a percentage we can kinda, we give them a grace period, but if it's too much, or that's just for construction?
That's just for construction, it's purely the lowest bid,
Okay.
that's what we have to go by, it's purely the lowest bid.
So based on that list that those were contacted or sent out to, it looks like
Right.
there's like 3 local that from Webster City that were sent the bid package and chose not to bid.
Got it.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Next section is D, reports and recommendations of officers, boards and commissions. The following items have been deemed non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council on a single motion. If a council member or a member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, it will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. I have item 1 is a motion to accept and place on file the City Manager December reports for electric, wastewater, water, electric year to date, and water year to date, and the inspection. Motion to accept, place on file the Police Department December report. 3 is a motion to accept and place on file Fire Department December report, and 4 is a motion to accept and place on file the Hamilton County Solid Waste Commission January agenda packet.
Move to approve 1 through 4 collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Are there any council committee reports? No. Are there any other reports, recommendations? Okay. Next section is E, closed session. Meet in closed session for the purpose of holding a strategy meeting in connection with the collective bargaining for the fire department unit as authorised by chapters 20.17 and 21.5 of the Code of Iowa.
Motion to close session.